I never imagined I'd find myself here. A man on Reddit, pouring his heart out about betrayal, heartbreak, and the cruel weight of deception. For years, I genuinely believed I was living in a steady, fulfilling, and deeply loving marriage. My wife Emma seemed like everything I ever wanted. She was brilliant, radiant, accomplished, and she possessed this captivating, almost ethereal charm that made everyone around her feel seen, important, like just being near her made their world brighter. We met in a cozy, tucked away bookstore in Boston. Our hands reached for the same novel. We laughed in that moment, exchanged numbers, and slowly, lovingly built an entire world from that single spark. Everything about it felt effortless, like we were two puzzle pieces designed to interlock perfectly. Then came Liam, a fellow Londoner, Emma's old college confidant, introduced to me 6 years ago, after Emma and I had already been married for some time. According to her, Liam was witty, endearing, and one of those guys who says dumb stuff but always means well. The very first time I met him, I wasn't prepared. He strolled into our home like he had signed the mortgage himself, slapped me on the back, called me Yank, and quipped something about Emma having clearly lowered her standards moving to the States. I forced a chuckle and did my best to be welcoming. But deep inside, something twisted. A discomfort I couldn't quite name, but it gnawed at me. Emma, as ever, remained the image of graciousness, and the bond between her and Mrs. Weston, her mother, had grown even tighter somehow. "That's just his British humor," she'd say lightly, brushing away my unease with a giggle, as if my concerns were nothing but paranoid delusions. When I dared to bring up how his remarks unsettled me, she'd either dismiss me with a roll of her eyes or silence me with a kiss on the cheek, telling me to stop being such a sensitive baby. I started to second-guess myself, wondering if I was being possessive, irrational, too controlling, too needy, and so guilt became a quiet noose around my neck. But Liam's appearances grew more frequent, and his passive jabs grew sharper. One night, during dinner, he glanced over and smirked, saying, "You don't even know the half of what this woman's capable of. She's got such a mind, but I bet all you talk about is football." Emma laughed louder than she ever did at my jokes. That sound, her laughter for him, pierced deeper than the words themselves. I turned to her, silently begging for just a flicker of acknowledgement, anything to show she understood how it cut. But she just gave a lazy wave and shrugged. "Ignore him, babe. He's always like this." It wasn't just the words anymore. It was their shared glances when they thought I wasn't paying attention. It was the private jokes that I never understood, the midnight texts that made her grin quietly to herself, the photos they scrolled through together, side by side on the couch. At some point, I stopped feeling like her husband and began to feel like a stranger in my own life. Still, I convinced myself it was all paranoia. I chose to believe in her. I wanted to believe that a woman and a man could be that close without crossing a line. Then came the night that shattered that illusion. I came home early from a work trip. Last-minute cancellation. I thought it'd be romantic to surprise her. I didn't call ahead. I walked through the front door, carrying her favorite lilies, heart eager to see her face light up. But what I found instead destroyed me. They were in the study. The door was half ajar, light dimmed. I heard their laughter before I saw their faces. His deep, smug chuckle, and hers, soft and familiar. I pushed the door slightly, and there they were on the couch, their wine glasses nearly touching, bodies leaning close. His hand rested possessively on her knee, her fingers gently curled around his arm. Then she leaned in and kissed him. Not a quick, friendly peck. A slow, deliberate kiss that reeked of history and intent. I didn't storm in. I didn't scream. I quietly retreated, my heart pounding so violently I could hear it in my ears. I slipped out the front door, unnoticed. I sat in my car for over an hour, dazed, unmoving. The flowers lay in my lap like a joke. I felt like the world's biggest fool. Like I had been the silent punchline in their long-running secret comedy. That night, I checked into a hotel and didn't say a word. The next morning, I returned home and pretended nothing had happened. She was in the kitchen, humming softly, pouring coffee like she was living in some sitcom. Liam was gone. I walked in, placed the wilted bouquet on the table, and sat across from her. She smiled. "You're back early. Everything okay?" I nodded calmly and pulled out my phone. I had installed a small security camera in the study a few months back, originally to check on our dog. I opened the app and played the footage from the night before. Her face went pale as she watched herself lean into him, heard her own laughter, caught the murmur of his voice whispering in her ear. She looked at me, panic rising in her eyes. "I didn't mean—" I raised my hand. "Don't lie. Just stop. Please." Her voice cracked. "It wasn't supposed to happen. We were just reminiscing. He kissed me. And John. And you kissed him back." Tears welled in her eyes and spilled down her cheeks. "It was a mistake." "How long?" She hesitated. "It started a few months ago. It was emotional at first. He was going through stuff. And we reconnected." I couldn't bear another word. I stood and walked out the door. This time, forever. A week later, I filed for divorce. The following weeks were a haze of paperwork, silence, and emotional numbness. She sent texts begging for forgiveness. She tried calling. One day, she showed up at my office, her eyes bloodshot, voice trembling. But there was nothing she could say, nothing she could do, to erase what I had witnessed, or the helplessness I had felt. The betrayal itself wasn't even the most agonizing part. It was how she allowed it to unfold in our home, the sanctuary we built together. She let him mock me, reduce me, chip away at my dignity, and every time she justified it. That's just his British humor. Those words haunt me. They were her armor, her excuse, her cover. They twisted my perception, made me question my instincts, made me feel insane. They didn't shield me. They shielded him. And I now wonder, did she ever truly love me? Or was Liam always lurking in the shadows, just waiting to take what I believed was mine? It's been a year since. I'm still trying to reconstruct a version of life without her in it. I've moved into a smaller apartment, close to work. I signed up at a gym. I'm on a quiet mission to rediscover who I am without her shadow looming. Some days I feel stronger. Others, a joke with a British accent on TV makes my chest seize up. Emma and Liam, they're together now. At least, that's what their Instagram suggests. Their pictures look curated, plastic. Her smile seems untouched by guilt. Maybe in her version of events, none of it was real damage. But in mine, it was a war. So if you're someone who brushes off your partner's discomforts with "lighten up" or "don't take it personally," let me tell you, disrespect is never comedy. Boundaries matter. Trust, once shattered, doesn't rebuild with punchlines. I wasn't too sensitive. I was simply the only one really listening. and every time she laughed at his jokes, she was laughing as our love quietly died. The end